Hello and Swaddy Cup. Ricky and Isaan here, just out here by the lake near the village, on the other side of the lake actually, where we've got this touristy sort of forest over here. Thought I'd bring the dog for a bit of a walk, morning walk. Came out here in the motorbike because it is a little bit of a distance. The time I walk out here, he will be buggered. And thought I'd have a bit of a chat today about is rural Thailand or is Isaan boring? Because I see a lot of expats comment, particularly the older expats, about how boring it is and they couldn't live out here. So I want to do a bit of a discussion about why or why not it's boring for me and compare it to if I was living in a tourist destination or a big city here in Thailand. How's this? There used to be one of those big power transformers, those big power boxes up here, and someone's come and nicked it. The locals were all talking about it. I knew it was up here somewhere, but that's definitely where it was. The locals all think it has to be an inside job because they're pretty big and it's up pretty high. How would you know how to cut the cables correctly, disconnect it all, and then how would you get it down into a ute? Someone saw a ute here late at night, so they suspect that was who it was. But that's insane. They reckon it's the actual electricity company workers who've probably done it. And people were saying that would be worth about 100,000 baht to sell. Whether or not that's true, I don't know. But that's insane, man. Never heard of anyone stealing one of those ever. How would you get that down? I mean, they'd be pretty bloody heavy. Because this far out, you're away from the village, there's no one really around here. It's pretty isolated, and you've got this forest here. The other side of the forest is the Chai River. Just getting a bit deeper into the so-called jungle, the bush, the forest, whatever you'd call it. And I often see other foreigners talk about how boring Isaan is and they couldn't live out here. There's nothing to do. What do you do all day? For me anyway, the days go so goddamn quick, it's ridiculous. I don't have that much to do. I don't have a job, obviously. But the days just go past in a blink. I don't know if that's part of getting older, but I couldn't move somewhere where I've got more to do because I wouldn't have time to do anything. Something like this, something like going for a walk in nature, this is part of my hobbies. If I was living in Bangkok, I mean, you got the parks, but you can't really do some of this. Obviously, some of the touristy towns along the coast you can. You got little spots nearby. But stuff like this, stuff like cycling, this is my hobbies. This is what I do. And it's probably safer to do out here, cycling on the roads anyway, compared to living in the big cities. For me anyway, and I know it's different for other expats. Other expats like to go out to bars and mingle with other expats or restaurants. For me, I'm just the sort of guy who likes staying home. I'm a bit introverted. I am someone who likes to go out to eat, so we'll go out to a nice restaurant when there's one around. But for me, my hobbies sort of include being at home, connecting with friends and family back home on the internet, chatting on Messenger and whatnot, playing my PlayStation. I can only get it probably an hour PS5 in a day. Watching sports. I've got a decent enough TV service that I can watch all the sports and TV shows and movies that I want. That's essentially what I enjoy doing. And you definitely can't really have any expat friends. Obviously, I'm starting to connect with people through my YouTube channel, but you definitely can't have expert friends living locally to you out here in Isaan, depending where you are, if you're in a bigger town. We've got one other foreigner, I reckon, lives a couple of villages away, and I saw another one recently, but I think he's just visiting, and actually gave him a bit of a nod. But when you see each other in town, no one really says hello, no one looks at each other. You both know you're there, but there's no connection. It's quite weird. You sort of have to be introverted or want to stay away from other foreigners, I guess, to live out here in Isaan. It just seems to be how it is. There's the Chai, or the Chi. I always pronounce it wrong. I can never quite remember what one it is. Got a few little boats on the other side. I can hear someone paddling, I think. I definitely want to get a kayak. That's just another hobby I can be doing. I don't know if I'd go in the actual river that much. Maybe, yeah, not during rainy season, but now it's pretty low. But that little lake nearby would be brilliant for the little kayak, I reckon. Good fitness too. So obviously, my hobbies include fitness. A negative is where we live here, there is no gym. I can go to Chai town, but it's just too far to travel to a gym all the time. It's not worth it. We've got absolutely no gym where we live. If I lived in the big smoke, if I lived in some of the tourist spots, there's gyms everywhere. So that's a negative I have to living out here. But depending where you live and where your gym is in the city, it could be the same travel time anyway. We took my mum and her partner to Pattaya. We wanted to go to Hua Hin, but it was the end of a long weekend and there was just too much traffic coming from Isaan. So we ended up going to Jontium on the edge of Pattaya city there. And every time you needed to go somewhere in Pattaya, all we did was sit in traffic. The traffic was ridiculous. I could not cope with living somewhere like that. And Bangkok's the same, obviously. Me and you did go to Hua Hin in the COVID period. So the country wasn't open yet. And Hua Hin was fantastic, so nice and relaxed. I want to go back there now that everything's open just to see how busy it is, because it's a bit further to drive. It's probably another 2 hours, 3 hours for us to drive out here from Isaan, but absolutely ripper place, I reckon, Hua Hin. We had the little hotel. It's a couple 100 meters from the beach. Dog-friendly hotel. You had parking. You had a ripper swimming pool. The facilities were great. Absolutely beautiful. Obviously, we did find a good hotel in Jontium, right across from the beach as well, but I don't know, there's something about Hua Hin I loved. Come on. The dog's a bit spooked here. As you know, if you've ever lived in Thailand, they've got a huge like ghost culture. They always talk about there's ghosts who come and visit people at night and spirits. And they reckon this, there's a little Buddha statue there. They reckon this little forest is haunted. But I come out here all the time. I've never seen anything, and like I've never heard of anyone getting hurt by a ghost, I guess. But that's something to know too. Thailand has a weird ghost culture. And what I love also about Isaan is, well, you're the only sort of, depending where you are, but for me anyway, I'm the only sort of foreigner around. So it's a bit of a novelty for the locals. The locals are happy to see you. When you go to the cities and the touristy spots, you're just viewed as another tourist, aren't you? And I don't know, some of those tourist spots, the locals are fed up with, misbehaving tourists all the time. So they're a bit sort of, a bit negative with you, aren't they? People aren't as friendly, people aren't as happy to see you. Maybe if you live there a while and they get to know your face, that can change, but that's the vibe I get anyway, going to those spots. I mean, maybe you're happy, maybe you want to go there, you only want to see foreigners, you only want to hang out with foreigners, and that's totally fine. People like to do that. But I sort of like being immersed in more of a Thai culture, I guess, living in Thailand. Don't get me wrong, I definitely miss plenty of foreign foods. I'd love to go get a lasagna every day, but I just can't out here. I'd love to go get an Aussie meat pie, but I just can't. Living in those areas, you can obviously. So for example, my typical day in Isaan, I wake up, I generally, do what most of the younger people do, is you check your social media, check your messages, sort of scroll through Twitter, read the news, see what's going on in the world really. I like to watch a bit of YouTube, if I have a bit of breakfast. Particularly other Thai YouTubers. I love watching other Thai YouTubers. Not only does it sort of give me ideas on stuff I could do, but I don't know, I just like watching it. It's just what I enjoy. Just got a little dam in here. Then typically take the dog for his morning walk. Then I'm sort of doing errands, helping Eat out, getting her orders dropped off at the courier for her, checking if you need to pick up anything for the shop for her to sell. Grab a lunch in town and sort of, 1 o'clock I'm back home. The afternoon, maybe that's when I squeeze in a bit of gaming time, a bit of PlayStation, which I can never find enough time to play the games I want to play. Then whatever I need to do around the house, obviously. Any errands or chores. I mean, now we've got the baby, so there's obviously going to be baby time in there too. Afternoon comes along. Typically 4 o'clock, 4:30, when it's not the proper heat of the day. It's still quite hot, but it's not that proper, the sun up in the sky. The UV is a bit lower. That's when I go for an hour and a half bike ride. And that takes up quite a lot of time, because obviously if I'm going for an hour and a half bike ride, you got to prepare before that. You come home, you have a shower. It's basically 2 hours of your day gone. You got a 24-hour day. A 24-hour day. I've only got 22 hours left if I don't ride the bike. Come home, take the dog for a very late afternoon walk so he can do his business and whatever he needs to do. Then it's dinner time. Usually if we go out to dinner, that's probably an hour there. You drive somewhere, you're there for a bit, maybe even longer. Then you might grab some stuff from the shops. You get home, it's probably 7:30, 8 p.m. And then that's typically where I watch, I might watch a movie, I might watch live sports, particularly at the moment, a lot of live sports on. Watch a few TV shows, and then call it a night around 10:30, 11 p.m. The days just go so bloody fast to me. It definitely is not boring for me living out here. I can't get enough time. So here, we've got the water getting pumped from the lake. There's a little pipe that leads underneath the road and it's flooding the rice fields on the other side there. The locals have had enough of waiting for the rain. And interesting enough, one of the commenters mentioned these old trucks that I see around Isaan. It's the same engine they use for the pumping and the tractors as well. And it sounds exactly the same for me anyway. I don't know if it's picking up on the mic. I guess that's the benefits of having a rice field near a water source. If you don't have the rain that you need, you just pump it in. And there's of course plenty of other hobbies and extra things you could be doing. You should definitely also dedicate a bit of time every day just to like bettering yourself, getting your mind going. I try to spend an hour a day learning Thai. It hasn't been as easy to do with the birth of the babies and traveling to and from Chaiapung recently, but I'm hoping to get that back on track soon. But there's just so many things you could be doing to keep yourself occupied if you're worried about being bored out here. The worst you can do, rent a place out in Isaan, see what it's like. If you're renting, you're probably going to live in a city anyway, so you're going to have heaps to do. But rent a place if you can out here and give it 6 months, see if you like it or not. You can always go back, live in the city, live in a touristy spot along the coast there. And I totally get it. My hobbies don't align with retirees' hobbies, and I mean retirees might not want to, be doing courses, learning stuff, getting their mind going just as much as I would. So I completely understand why so many expats don't really like living out here in Isaan. Other negatives also can include being so close to the extended family. It can be a bit of a headache sometimes. It probably takes time to adjust. Just not necessarily them bothering you, but just the noise, I think, for me. Just kids outside, rah, 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 and I've got to get used to it, having kids anyway, but just the noise, funny things, like someone just starts cutting down a tree right next to your house or something, just funny things that you sort of, probably sort of bug you a bit, and you're not used to when you're back home living in the West, and you're sort of in a quiet area and left alone.